Welcome to Corporate Elements, the podcast where we decode leadership, workplace culture, and realities of the modern work. Today, I am joined by Oksana Lukash, a four-time Chief People Officer, Executive Advisor, TEDx Speaker, and best-selling author. Oksana has led 7 mergers and acquisitions, guided organization through 5 CEO transitions, and spent more than 2 decades helping companies build stronger leaders, healthier cultures, and high performing teams. Oksana, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on Corporate Elements.
So much for having me. The pleasure is mine.
Before we jump into today's topic, you worked across startup, large organization, leadership transitions, and talent strategy. For our audience who may be hearing your name for the first time, tell us a little bit more about your journey and the work you're doing today.
Sure, I'll try to make it really quick. I completely fell into HR by accident. That was never something that I was looking forward to. I actually did not really know what I wanted to do. I had one idea, tested it out. So thankful I did not end up spending time in university studying that, but then fell into HR. Loved it. Loved it because everything changes every single day. You're helping people. You're actually working with the most important part of any company, which is its talent. I'm still not aware of a single company that doesn't have talent. So decided to get my degree in human resources management as well. So by the time I graduated, I had as well as years of experience and then had an opportunity to work, as you mentioned, for a number of different size companies, a number of different industries. A large part of the companies I've worked for and with have been public and very highly regulated. And really found my niche helping and working with small startup to mid-sized organizations because at that point, too, talent means so much more because budgets are very different at those size companies versus larger ones. So you need people that not only are incredible, have amazing skill sets, and are able to grow and evolve as the company is growing and evolving. You also need very cohesive teams, and that's where leadership comes in as well. For the last a little over a year and a half, really been focusing on consulting and helping as many companies from consulting, project, interim work, as well as very much started stepping into public speaking. So just very recently did my first TEDx. Would love to do another one. So already chasing that next dream. Also did participate in one anthology that did become a bestseller and actually have 3 more coming out this year. So it's been a very fun, unexpected roller coaster journey in the best way.
Sounds exciting and sounds you're a lot busy these days. And I remember briefly speaking to you about open door policies and approaching leadership. And since you have also done executive coaching as a part of your work, uh, I'm just going to start with the big picture. My team can come to me with anything, yet many employees tell a very different story. From your experience as an HR, why do employees stop speaking up?
Very great question. From what I've seen, it happens when the actions of the leaders in the company do not match what they say. So going back to open door policy, let's say the company has that in their employee handbook, that is something that they talk about. But every time an employee is trying to go and speak with the leader and share something, they're not available or they're too busy, or they're multitasking. How many times each one of us experienced it that we walk into someone's office and want to talk to them, and we're sitting next to them across from them, and they're just doing this, while they're on a laptop and doing something completely different. Also, other parts are when an employee does speak up and share something, and the reaction becomes more focused on the individual that shared something, automatic doubt, automatic maybe justifications for protecting whatever the message is versus being curious, versus asking questions or really seeking to understand. A lot of times, truly, all the employee needs to do is just get it off their chest. I can't tell you how many times somebody has walked in to talk to me, and it was an emergency and a big deal. And we sat together, they shared what they needed to. I listened, said nothing. And then they stand up and say, "This was so helpful, so appreciate your help. I feel so much better." And they leave. So we don't need to have all the answers. We need to have the patience and we need to create that space and grace for employees to be what they need to be in that moment and share what they need to share in that moment.
Agree. I can totally relate with the experience you just had with the person who just walked up to you, sat with you, and felt better. Because I was also given an advice once that they want to be heard. Uh, Speaking of leaders who are busy, maybe I understand there are a lot of responsibilities they're dealing with the job in hand, but maybe they can tell the person approaching that they will get back and literally get back, because that will create an impression that the boss is approachable. I have worked in a space where I have seen that many leaders assume silence means agreement. And but people often, for some people, silence means fear or disengagement. We did an episode on silent quitting, wherein we discuss on these parameters as well. Because before leaving the job, they leave. They don't want to work with the manager or the boss first, and they start to disengage. So, uh, first, why do people choose silence instead of speaking up? That's really, yeah, burning question for me.
And you actually touched on it a little bit earlier. It's the fact that somewhere along the line, and I'm not sure where, and we need to find it and stop it, leaders forgot that leading, even in the word, is about others. It's not about the spreadsheets. It's not about the projects. It's not about, meetings with the higher ups. If you do not have a team, if you do not have people on the floor of your business doing the work that is the core, right, product or service of your organization, you do not have a company. So, right, a bunch of leaders in a conference room talking about something without anyone on the floor actually doing the work is not a company. So, leaders need to stop and really honestly get rid of the response, "I'm too busy, I don't have time," when it comes to their direct reports and their team. You make time because that's what it's about. You leading a team means that your role is to help other people achieve their goals and you're successful when they're successful. It's not the other way around. It's not you sitting in your office, they're doing all the work to make you look good. And if that's what someone's idea of leadership is, I would really strongly encourage for them to do some self reflection and for the company to address what their definition should be. And again, it's a lot of things where employees, right, what we already talked about. They're seeing that what is being said does not match with what's being done. They're seeing that actions are not applied similarly across the board. So right, one thing maybe is said in front of the team, but something completely different is done behind closed doors. Employees pay attention on what gets rewarded, what gets tolerated, what becomes the norm. And all of that adds up. Again, communication, it doesn't mean you have to, right, again, have the answer to every single thing. Communicate everything that's going on with the company. People understand that there's confidential information. There might be some projects and work that's being done that's just not for public knowledge yet. And part of the reason is not to hide anything from anybody, but there might be projects that the leaders are working that might never come to fruition. So it's not being communicated more to protect the employees from not automatically assuming that there's that much more work coming their way when it might not even come and happen, right? So usually leaders wait to share some of the bigger initiatives with the organizations until they have more certainty that it's actually going to happen versus less. So then that way folks are then brought in and understand, okay, we might be acquiring a company. We might be, again, starting a new line of the business or whatever else it might be. But I also would encourage employees to not put the weight of the world on their leaders and be an active participant with your leader in the conversations. If you're wondering about something, if you're unsure about something, instead of starting to talk to everybody else within the company that would not have the
Yeah.
answers, if you just need to vent, fantastic. Go ahead, find the friends that you have in the company, vent. That's what it's for. But if you truly need guidance or additional insight, go to the individuals that would have that information and be able to answer that for you. And another thing I would encourage both the leaders and the employees to do is be honest with each other. So again, let's say, Robbie, right, you and I are working together and I'm your leader and you ask me a question of, hey, I'm hearing rumors that we might be right acquiring somebody or there's a big project or something's going on and I'm not able to share that with you yet, I should be able to just say that and say, hey, Robbie, I promise that as soon as I'm in a position to share details, I absolutely will. Right now, there's not enough information for me to be able, right, to answer your question in any way, shape, or form. So I would just ask for you to just please be patient. And when I say that, for you not to take it as I'm just trying to get rid of you in the end of the conversation, but that truly is what it is. But for the leader, don't say that just to get rid of somebody,
Right.
right? Use it because that is truly what you're planning on doing when you are in a position to share. So again, that relationship between the employee and their manager starts breaking down and breaking down very quickly when actions and the words are not matching up and they're not matching up more often than when they do. Or when employees are trying to do their part and they're continuously being pushed away, then all of us, we're human, we have feelings, right? We're going to learn that, wait a second, that's not safe. And we're just going to start disengaging.
I agree. Because you mentioned the point that at the start, most of the processes are like goal oriented or objective oriented or the process oriented, not the people oriented, because it's the people who are doing the work. And speaking of having the open communication or being assertive, or I don't want to use word courageous, but being transparent to just speak up with your peers or boss with the current situation rebuilds the trust and the work efficiency or the smoothness, it enhances because there is no doubt in the back of the mind. And speaking of this, such situations where, feeling safe is more important. At start, we spoke about having a communication and just to vent out and feel better about it. And we spend almost more time in office than at home. And the psychological safety has become one of the most talked about leadership concept over the last few years. Understand that I think that yet many people misunderstand it. In your experience, when you say that, what kind of a culture creates a psychological safety?
Great question. I mean, again, it doesn't happen overnight. And here's the thing that I think a lot of us misunderstand. There's people that give trust freely, where they just meet somebody and they automatically trust them until the person gives them multiple reasons not to trust them. There are
Yeah,
other people that do not trust anybody until they get to know somebody and the person in a way, right, shows that they're trustworthy. And there are people all across that scale in different variations. So we need to be curious about the other person. So I'll take it back to a few years back. This really stood out to me and like something clicked is I was at a conference and a gentleman, we were doing an activity at, the table with everyone participating and it was an HR conference. And one of the gentlemen who's a senior HR leader said, well, I always treat people the way that I want to be treated. That's my motto. And that's how I've led my entire career. And I challenged him. And I said, well, sir, I actually disagree. And he got a very taken aback by that. And I said, I disagree because, again, example, you are a white male, how do you, if you treat me the way that you want to be treated, how does that help me in any way? We need to treat people the way that they want and need to be treated in that moment and in the phase of career and stage of life that they're in. That means it needs to be, again, about them. It means we need to be curious. We need to take the time to build a relationship with somebody, a relationship that they are comfortable with at whatever right depth that makes sense. So it's not first day, hi Robbie, right? Welcome to company A, B, and C. Tell me your deepest, darkest secrets, and I want to know everything about you. It doesn't happen that way. It's right. It's understanding. It's being curious. It's making sure that I, as a leader, spend regular one-on-one time with you, check in with you all the time. If you just started with the company, if you just transitioned to a new team, do you have what you need to do your job? Do you have the resources that you need? Do you even have access to the systems that you need? Do you know who you're going to be working with? Do you need me to make any introductions? What are the roadblocks that are getting in your way? What are the challenges that you're experiencing? And if you notice with all of that, it's about you first. And there is work about it too, but it's not, hey, why, Robbie, I keep seeing that you have not produced the reports that you need to. You don't start with that because then it becomes first about the work. You
Mm,
become curious about the individual. And then there's a whole concept that I'm a big fan of called state interviews. Obviously, you don't sit down and say, hey, Robbie, we're going to have a state interview today. So I'm going to ask you questions. Please answer them honestly. No, it's just understanding various questions that I can start asking you during our, again, regular one on ones and check ins, but start giving me an idea of a pulse of how you're feeling. How are you, right? And seeing certain trends on if you're getting more engaged, if you're at the same level of engagement, or something starts dropping. But it's being a partner with you. And it's again giving you, I'm a big fan of a concept, feed forward instead of feedback. So it's
mm,
not me telling you what you could have, should have done about something that you no longer can change because it's in the past. It's again sitting down and saying, okay, I know you're leading this really big initiative, and this has a lot of visibility for you in front of the company, the rest of the executive team, the board, fill in the blank. I want this to go as well as possible for you. Again, what do you need from me? How can I help you to make you as successful in this project as possible? What again is getting in the way, right? Please pull me in. I'll be happy to be again a partner for you. So here, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you the opportunity to also lead something, but I am volunteering to be your partner to support you to make you successful. So that's another shift. And when all of those things are there, it takes time, right? And it takes time to see that it's not just words, but actions too. It's
mm,
opportunity for an employee to raise something that might be very uncomfortable. It's an opportunity for a team member to tell you maybe, right, where you crossed the line or you did something that made them upset. And your reaction to that is crucial. It's not, don't snap at them. Again, don't go down the rabbit hole of you misunderstood, you misinterpreted. Seek to understand, be curious. If you are getting emotional about it, have feelings that can happen, then take some time and say, thank you so much, Robbie, for bringing that up. Can I take some time to process that? And I would appreciate if we can schedule time tomorrow or the day after to follow up on that. So I'm not shutting down the conversation, but
mm.
I am giving myself also
I
that
see them.
space to think through it with my head, not just maybe my heart, to where then we can continue having a conversation. And maybe that next conversation looks again. Thank you for sharing that. After reflecting, I can see how what I said or how I acted might have come across the way that you mentioned. Thank you again so much for bringing that up. Can we please talk through on, right, why for example, that reaction landed that way. Um, and again, be curious, not shoot down the message. Other things I think proactively we can do. Our world is nuts, right? We wake up, we're automatically checking the phone, we're getting ready in a hurry, right? To go do whatever it is that we do during the day. We're constantly connected to multiple devices, multiple email accounts, notifications from every app that possibly right existed. And we're running from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. And then we all have personal lives, either families, other responsibilities. So it's always nonstop. And the thing that we don't give enough value to is also how exhausted we are and how much we carry from one interaction to another. So again, a very smart person that I know shared this technique and I love it. And I'm starting to incorporate it in the meetings that I'm leading. At the beginning of the meeting, if it's more than 2 or 3 people, literally start the meeting and say, look, we all just came from somewhere. We all just either again got off the phone call, another meeting, whatever it is. Let's just take a pulse or a minute in silence to just be and let go of whatever it is that we brought in with us into this room. And truly then just go quiet for people to just literally take a beat. And then after that, and I actually did a post on LinkedIn with a chart. There's right lots of different charts that look very different of different emotions. And each emotion usually is a different state, either very negative, right, to very, very positive and best state you can be in. So make your team aware of the emotion, the emotional state, right, the variations of it. And again, create a space to go through the table and possibly say, hey, can we all just quickly share what state I'm in? Right? Because if you are in, like, you're in a funk, you're in a slump, you're just having a bad day, you should be able to say that. And then I know as your leader to go a little bit to just, right, to give you space and grace and not maybe push on you or, right, trying to get you involved in the conversation because, right, you're having a different day. And do that with every single person and make it part of the start of every single meeting. So then you know where people are and what they're to contribute and not able to contribute and just take it for what it is. And don't push people further. But if you also start noticing that somebody is constantly in a lower emotional state week after week after week after week, that's an opportunity for you to pull them aside, have right a conversation, just be like, is everything okay? Right? What can I do? How can I help? I've just noticed that in our team meetings, you've shared that you've been more just right, feeling as motivated. I've noticed again, right, in our past one on ones, you've shared the same thing. Please let me know what I can do. Don't pry in for personal things that somebody might not be able to share, but care, right? People are people. We bring all of ourselves to work, all of our emotions, all of our experiences, whatever's going on again in our personal life, create spaces where it's okay for us to be human, to have feelings, to have emotions, and be able to go through whatever it is that's happening. And also, I know the pushback is, well, this is a workplace and we need people to work and produce and to get the job done. Yes. And you taking that time and having that conversation with somebody actually probably is going to put them in a higher emotional state almost immediately because somebody sees them, somebody cares, somebody asked and created a space for them versus you ignoring what they're going through and pushing them to do better. That only is going to create a lower emotional state, more resentment, more disengagement, and significantly more mistakes in whatever, right, their work is.
Right. That was quite powerful. That is so much ideas in the last sentence when you just said that taking a deep breath and not just focusing on the agenda of the meeting, rather than focusing on the people, especially focusing on the emotions and the background because they come from with some mindset. And to get them focused back on the work, we need to focus on them first. And many organizations today, they face tight deadlines and economic pressures and constant change. I understand one of your area of expertise is change management. And at the same time, some employees are also dealing with personal stress, family responsibilities, health challenges, and burnout. So, how can leaders balance empathy with accountability? Is there anything else they want to do, or they can follow all these mechanisms you just guided before?
Yeah. Leaders need to realize the higher you are in the organization, most of the time, the further you are removed of how work actually gets done. So the thing is, that is right. The top is where the majority of the decision making is being made that impacts the rest of the organization. But how many companies and how many leaders invite the individuals that are going to be impacted by those initiatives and changes to the table to be part of that change? And that's what I want to urge a lot of folks to do. And then when you start doing that, you should care about people, period. To me, that's a non negotiable. You should absolutely have empathy, right? Again, talent is your main competitive advantage. You cannot have a company if you do not have people. And I'm the reason I don't, again, I hate actually calling HR is because humans are not resources. Every single person is so unique. We're each like a snowflake, right? There's never been another you, Robbie, in the history of the universe. And there's never going to be another you in the future. So when you think about it, about yourself that way and about every single person on the planet, first of all, that is so, so beautiful. And then it makes me, for example, so curious to find out again, what are the things that make you unique and different? What are the skill sets that you have that are, again, uniquely, beautifully you? And when you start learning that about every individual and you build teams in such a way that are complementary and supportive of one another, where your super skills are right complementary to my areas of opportunity. And guess what? That means let's align you to do the work where you get to use your superpowers and I get to use mine instead of the opposite way where then we hate our roles and hate our jobs. So it's be curious, care about employees, bring them to the table to be part of the solution, ask them the questions. And here's the thing, too, even if any of us have done the role that is being impacted or the function that's being impacted 5 or more years ago, we don't know anything about that role. It changed in such a way that it's so different. So again, don't make decisions for others that completely change their work life without asking them and truly, again, being curious. And that's where we bridge that gap as well. And that's where you actually, as a leader, able to run your business significantly better and employees to feel that they're cared about. And then there's psychological safety and right that there's empathy and all of those things because they are a partner to the leaders. It's again, it's still together. We're all employees of a company. We all just have different titles and we're all like pieces of a puzzle that each one of us is needed to complete the entire puzzle and see what it is and how beautiful it is as well.
Eric, I do resonate with the part where the top of the leaders, when they're part of such meetings, they forward a kind of an energy throughout the chain in the end. And employees at the lower level can feel that energy that something is happening. And that is why the powerful leader, the enthusiastic leader, and the positive leader is very much important. Just when you were speaking about the culture and using the word beautiful about the differences between, like, everyone has their own individualism and they have each one carries some talents and some skills that we can exchange and learn from. And this is the kind of a culture and environment which I believe will thrive and grow in an office environment. We are almost at the last section, so I have just listed some few questions and kind of a rapid fire kind of a question. You can just answer swiftly in one or two words or just one short sentence. Okay. What is that one leadership pride that is becoming more important every year?
Be vulnerable, be authentic, and never, ever, ever, ever compromise on integrity.
And one workplace myth leaders should stop believing.
That you know everything.
Ah. And one habit that destroys trust fastest.
When your actions do not match your words.
Mm. This is the trust point I remember we discussed. And one habit that builds trust fastest.
Consistency, and I would say again, authenticity and vulnerability and curiosity.
Yes. Oksana, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Before we wrap up, if there's one message you'd like to for cascade or forward to every leader listening today to remember about trust, remember about the communication and having deep conversation and listening and building stronger workplaces, what will be that be?
First of all, leadership is not just about the titles. So every single one of us is a leader in some way in our lives, in all the various things that we're involved in. Also, you cannot be a fantastic leader for other people if you do not know who you are. So really take the time to understand who you are, what matters to you, your values, the environments that help you your best work, then also your no matter what values, because once you're aligned with that, you can use that as a filter to ensure you're working in places that align and actually help you be even a better you and help you grow. That you are in rooms where you again can speak and contribute. And you can make those decisions even on partnerships with clients, vendors, anything like that. But find who you stop copying everybody else, consigning yourself, and be again very true to your beliefs, your values, your definition of culture, and find again places where you can amplify that and find individuals that you can amplify that message with as a team. Because that way you just, again, everyone tends to enjoy working in the environments that again ignite their passions and activate their performance instead of environments that manage their performance.
Super. On that point of elevating your team, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insight. And for our listeners, if they want to reach out to you, where they can find you.
Yeah, LinkedIn is a great place. So my name is fairly unique. So if you look up Oksana Lukash, I'm based in Southern California. I think there's really only one of me there. So definitely reach out. Happy to connect. Please feel free to follow, engage with my content. If you ever want to schedule a one-on-one, just drop me a DM. I do a lot of one-on-one meetings with folks that reach out and that I reach out to on Zoom. And also, feel free to follow my website, oksanalukash.com.
And thank you to everyone for listening to Corporate Elements. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow, share, and leave a review. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading with purpose.
Thank you.